The day an empire laid down its sword. Its victories will never end until the day one does. Autumn 1777. General John Burgoyne marched no farther. His army, once confident, now exhausted. The horses gone, the food gone, the supplies gone. Every mile had carried them farther from home. Bennington had taken more than soldiers. It had stolen momentum. The forests closed around them. The roads led nowhere. The Americans grew stronger with every passing day. Then, Saratoga, American forces closed the circle. General Horatio Gates held the line. No rescue, no reinforcements, no escape. Only a choice. October 17th, 1777, a white flag moved slowly forward. General Burgoyne carried his sword, the symbol of an army that believed it could never lose. He offered it to General Gates, but Gates did not keep it. Honor remained, even in defeat. Nearly 5,800 soldiers laid down their arms. An entire army. Silenced, the news crossed the Atlantic in France. King Louis XVI watched and listened. A rebellion had defeated one of the greatest armies on earth. Ships, cannons, soldiers, gold soon followed. Some battles win ground, some battles win wars. Saratoga won a nation, because on that autumn day, an empire laid down its sword.
Well, no, you're right. I got it screwed up again.
Which one? What was it?
About for during the time where the blacks were working with the blue coats.
Oh, okay, yeah, hold up. I know what you're talking about now. What happened is when the Revolutionary War was taking place, the English had promised freedom to the blacks here in the United States if they fought for the English. Now, what happened is that when the war was coming to an end, the Navy, the British Navy, was leaving the ports. I think it might have been in Boston. But when they were leaving, they said that a lot of the black slaves that they had promised freedom to was literally swimming out to try to board the ships because they had left them behind. And there were stories about that.
I'm just finding amusing that you calling it the United States. At the present time, it's the United States.
Well, I mean, it was the moment.
I know
the moment we drove your wretched forces from our land, we became the United States. You wretched man, you wretched Englishman. Lord Edward.
Don't blame
Yep.
it. I wasn't
Canada
there.
and you.
It's like the blacks are now punishing all the children of the white for slavery.
Yeah.
Well, I did find that pretty interesting. That was something I found out a while back. I forgot what but it was. I remember hearing about. I hadn't pulled it all up. It's like I said, Robert comes up with all these cool ideas that he never uses in the stream, and I'm probably gonna have to freaking pull that up to get the information for that too. So I'll be back.
But yeah, they were showing that about they were having, and they still during the same amount of time still can get the whites to accept them, even in the blue coats, because they with their own way of looking at it, for they just couldn't. Yeah, they were fighting for to help them, but they were just thinking of, well, who knows what they think, but they just didn't like the idea. And here that they were fighting for independence just as well too, for what they want. They were thinking of it as well.
Wait, correct me, Robert and Roger, but he's away. How far away was the American Civil War from the Revolutionary War? You guys,
I don't know. You have to ask Roger about that.
1865. 1865.
the Civil War?
1776 to 1860.
Oh, I think
1860, wasn't it?
I think it was. I'm not
So
sure
we're
about
talking about a good
1781. 1781.
1781 was the Revolutionary War, wasn't it? Wait, which one?
Yeah,
which,
the war for the Civil War was in 1860, I believe. 1860 to
So we're
1865.
talking a very good, what? Yeah, 100 years.
Civil War is 18,
1861.
and then the Revolutionary was 1700. So like 100 years apart.
There
So
was
you guys pushed the British out, and then you got bored. There's nobody to fight, so you start fighting each other.
Well, there's a story. There's actually a story in that, though, because the thing of it was is first we started out with the Articles of Confederation, okay, and what happened was is the Constitution took its place. Now, with the Constitution helps in some ways, but it also is geared towards people when it comes to landowners, okay? Now, a lot of the issues between class differences didn't actually change until Andrew Jackson. Like, a lot of people don't realize that the average poor person didn't have the right to vote either. It wasn't just black people and slaves, it was poor people.
Even in Britain and most modern or Western countries,
Yeah, but it's
the concept of a free man, the landowner, only being able to vote. So relatively new. The concept of everybody being able to vote is a relatively new thing. We're only talking about 120, 150 years maybe, I think that's.
Now, I do have the information if you guys want to hear it on the black slaves and the Revolutionary War. So, you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says the promise of freedom by the British to enslaved black Americans during the Revolutionary War and the subsequent heartbreaking reality of their evacuation is one of the most tragic and complicated chapters in American history. The British did not act out of humanitarian abolitionism, but rather out of military strategy. They realized they could simultaneously cripple the southern plantation economy and swelled their own military ranks by liberating the workforce of the American patriots. Two major decrees drove the massive wave of self-emancipation.
I want to just contradict you there. How can those people be American patriots? They joined.
Two major British decrees. This was the British that were trying to do this. Now, the two major British decrees drove the massive wave of self-emancipation. That was the Lord Dunmar's proclamation in 1775, where the royal government of Virginia promised freedom to any enslaved person owned by a patriot rebel who was willing to and able to bear arms for the king. This led to the creation of the famous all-black Ethiopian regiment. And then there was the Phillipsburg Proclamation in 1779, where the British commander Sir Henry Clinton expanded this policy massively. He declared that any enslaved person escaping a patriot master would receive full freedom and protection behind British lines without needing to fight. They could work as laborers, cooks, blacksmiths, or nurses.
Technically, it wasn't freedom. The definition of freedom at the time was being able to own land. If you didn't own land, therefore you weren't free.
Well, that would be a problem because there wasn't people that didn't own land, but there was no slaves.
But the idea of just saying, here you go, you're free now, and they didn't own land, technically that's not freedom.
Yeah, but back then they had that thing of, I don't know, I've heard, but they took land from the blacks and and give it over to the white people, and if you have if you were mixed.
Well, I have the second part to that if you guys want to hear it.
Okay.
So the heartbreak at the docks. When the British lost the war, they were forced to evacuate major southern ports like Savannah and Charleston. Chaos ensued as thousands of black loyalists who had faithfully served the crown rushed to the wharfs, terrified of being captured and re-enslaved by the victorious Americans. The specific incident of people swimming after the ships occurred during the evacuation of Charleston on December the 14th, 1782. The British assembled over 130 ships to evacuate their troops with white loyalists, and thousands of black refugees. Because ship space and food supplies were critically low, British commanders faced a logistical crisis to prioritize their own soldiers and the wealthy white loyalists, who often brought their own slaves with them. The British military began barring many of the promised black loyalists from boarding the rescue vessels, swimming for liberty. As the massive royal ships left anchor and began drifting away from the Gadsden Wharf into the harbor, hundreds of desperate abandoned black men, women, and children panicked. They leaped into the freezing water of the Atlantic and clung to the side of the rowboats and the rudder of the moving ships, begging to be pulled aboard. Historical.
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was going to say it just makes sense to abandon them, because either you abandon them and you have enough resources to get back to Britain, or the entire ship staffs.
Well, it gets even worse. This is how wretched the English were. Okay, because it goes historical accounts from British officers and witnesses reveal a horrific scene. To keep their overcrowded rowboats from capsizing, British soldiers took out their cutlasses and chopped off the fingers and hands of desperate swimmers clinging to the boats, leaving them to drown in the harbor. Other refugees who managed to swim out to smaller islands in Charleston Harbor in hopes of being picked up later were simply left behind. Hundreds died of starvation, exposure, and disease on those islands, while others were rounded up by returning American forces and forced back into brutal bondage. You horrible,
as
horrible
far as
English.
cutting off the fingers and limbs, that makes total sense. Either you stop them from attempting to board, or your boats collapse. And I know if I was a captain of a ship or a captain of a boat, I know what I would prefer to do.
No. Well, I'm surprised that during that time that the English wasn't watching, because when they made promises to the Indians.
Well, you got to understand, Robert, this is brutality. Like it was, I just said it a little while ago. I mean, people need to take and get rid of this whole patriotic viewpoint that they have with the Revolutionary
It was a matter
War.
of survival rather than patriotic.
You
And
know?
and when you talk about the making treaties with the Indians, remember previous to the Revolution, there was the French British war in America, the Indian British America.
Yeah, which by the way, George Washington was a freaking he was actually I forgot what his rank was. I don't think he was a general.
There's plenty of stories about, I think it was the Sioux that were involved in taking sides with both British and French, depending on whereabouts in the war.
I don't know exactly the whole thing of it. I know that, like, what really got me curious about a lot of that was George Washington's involvement with that whole war, because, like, he was a surveyor. He used to go out and survey territory, and that got him caught up into the military, and then he served for the royal forces back during that war. And they said that he was pretty vicious even during that war. Like he had a reputation for being a good, really good with the military even before the Revolutionary War started. So that by itself is an interesting story.
But like I said earlier, war is a bloody thing.
That's kind of what I was getting at whenever I mentioned that before, because, I mean, I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't really take into consideration when it comes to the Revolutionary War. It was very brutal, and they didn't fight according to any kind of, rules of war. That was never.
No, especially when they were fighting for protecting their home and their families.
There was no such thing as Geneva Conventions back then.
No, I know, but they just didn't want to. They just didn't like the idea of anyone coming up and forcing whatever they want to force onto them.
Well, that was the way it was. People,
I know.
Like you're talking like everybody got sick and tired of it and went to war and fought against them. That's not the truth. It was actually the opposite. Like it was people being forced into servitude and doing things that they didn't want to do, and if they didn't want to do it, then they got put to death. Okay, and then this is where people revolted, and people in France did the same thing. And then the truth of the matter is like our revolution isn't really that actually unique, because almost every single country in Europe freaking revolted against their country, the empirical governments, I guess you could say, the kingdoms. Like there's only like a handful of them that didn't freaking actually win their constitutional rights. There's only a few of them.
I don't know. The argument constitutional way play evolving, and it wasn't that you had the Civil War and hey presto, straight after the Civil War you've got constitutional rights. Doesn't happen like that.
Well, no,
well, me and you were talking about John Locke before, okay? And a lot of people don't understand what actually took place. Like John Locke started a movement where all of this took place. He was actually the grandfather of the constitutional governments. Like almost every single country in Europe freaking wanted a constitutional government and revolted against their rulers. Not just France, not just us, not just England. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, England was the first one to do it, I believe.
Well, yeah, arguably that wasn't a big constitution. That was just solely based upon taxes. So we can continue with wars with Spain and France.
I thought that England was just not that, but they were getting fed up about they
actually had 2 revolutionary wars, and I believe that John Locke was in exile from England because of his belief in constitutional government. And while you guys were having your second revolutionary war, he was in exile, and whenever the second revolutionary war was finished, that's when he returned back to England, I believe.
I would have checked the actual dates on that, but that sounds quite right.
Because I know they had a reference to the fact that like when he was in exile, he would make sure that he never stayed in one place too long, because he was afraid that the royals had people coming after him to kill him.
Well, during that time, I'm not sure. The president, or before he became president, was going back and forth from the U.S. to the UN.
Europe. Now you're. Yes. I know what you're talking about. Now Hamilton. That was before he was president, and he kept going back and forth to Europe because he wanted to create a Bank of America, and the first and second Bank of America, and that's something that we were talking about the other day with like the Federal Reserve and stuff like that.
Yeah. We were talking about this yesterday.
Mm-hmm. And he ended up becoming, I think, the second or the third president. I don't know which one. After George Washington.
Washington, Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Adams, Jackson, Hamilton.
So he was never. Oh. I always figured he was president. I was almost sure. Wait.
I know of the one before he became president, he was going over there that you.
Wait! No, he wouldn't have
come up with money.
No, he was actually the one that married a black woman, and he resettled her to Europe. And yeah. So that makes sense because he actually got married to her and he resettled. Probably, I don't know. I'm gonna check into that too. I'm kind of sliding on my history when it comes to this New Age stuff.
I thought US citizens were taught the names of every single president as soon as they got into school.
That's just a load of crap. I don't know who told you that, dude.
I thought they were being brained into
but
it.
yeah,
I think I just heard something on some show this morning that the history literacy of the American citizens is at a whole time low. People graduating out of high school can't name all 52 states.
To be honest, me and Mark actually even had a conversation about that the other day. They were talking about that when it comes to, what was it? Was it up in Scandinavia?
mm-hmm.
Mark, remember that? We were talking about it. They were talking. It had to
colleges.
Mm-hmm. It had to do with colleges and stuff. Like this is taking place all over the world.
That's correct, man. High school students in Canada totally got the 12 provinces down pat.
Okay. I know there's arguments about decline in education systems over the last 40 years within the Western world. Throughout the Western world, should I say?
Well, I blame it on incursive. Like you guys got rid of incursive, and
No, I blame it on the so-called long march with institutions.
Didn't they have a thing that when you vote, if you did not know how to read, that during that time,
like when you pass the citizenship test.
No, even before that. Oh yeah.
Now that
Do you even have that kind of things down there?
He's talking about the Jim Crow stuff. They had it set up to where you had to know how to read, and you had to be able to understand. You had to understand how to read and stuff like that. If you couldn't read, you couldn't vote. Basically, it was
rich or poor.
Yeah, well,
again, only educated people. Well, Jim Crow.
Are you going to be able to vote if you can't read?
Well, it's
the names on their voting card.
President Jackson was the first one to start cracking down on a lot of that stuff. Before that, people were being held back from voting because they were too poor. And they felt that if they allowed poor people to vote, they would be easily influenced by rich people. So that, a rich person could take money and pay them to freaking vote in their favor, or
pay the poor man to vote in their favor. Yeah,
things like that. That was a lot of the things that they really stood by. They thought that a poor man couldn't have like a moral compass and stuff. They're a lot of the stuff that they were preaching back then wasn't really all that great, like people make it out to be.
Yeah, actually, we should do a show on British bottom dwellers and William Pitts the Younger. Talking about such things.
Mm-hmm.
It could be interesting.
No, like Robert, like I said, he had different stories and stuff that I was going to use on this, but freaking I'm not.
We can.
No, I'm not.
We're off the script right now.
No, we're like at an hour and a half, dude. Like, I made like 4 freaking short stories and shit, and they have absolutely nothing to do with what we were talking about.
You can still go back to it.
Yeah.
Divert from script for a little bit and now go back.
Now, what I can do is I can add in, like song drops, I guess you could call it, like little spots into the edited version to where people can listen to them. Because they were good stories. It was just Robert didn't. Robert, you guys know Robert by now. Robert's Robert. Dude drives me nuts.
Let me ask you guys this. Does the Independence Day do anything to help? Like the fact that you're celebrating 4th of July for one day at least? Does the country forget about their differences, come together as a united country? Liberals or Democrats and Republicans and all?
I think you are
Not really.
being very sort of
Overly optimistic?
yeah, very optimistic there.
The day an empire let go. Every journey has a beginning. Every sacrifice has a purpose. And every war has a final chapter. This is that chapter. Autumn 1781. The revolution still burned, but something had changed. 4 years earlier, at Saratoga, the world had begun to watch France. Answered the call, ships crossed the Atlantic, soldiers crossed the sea. Hope found new allies. Britain changed its plan. The North was abandoned. The South would decide the war. General Charles Cornwallis marched toward Virginia, confident, determined, certain that rescue would always come. Yorktown, a quiet tobacco port, cannons began to speak. American soldiers dug their trenches. French soldiers stood beside them. Together, one army, one purpose, one final stand. Out upon the Chesapeake, the sea held the answer. British sails never appeared in Skep. French warships closed the bay. The escape was gone. The silence was louder than cannon fire. Day after day, the bombardment continued. Walls crumbled, hope faded. General Cornwallis knew what General Burgoyne had learned before him. An army surrounded cannot choose its future. October 19th, 1781, the drums slowed, the muskets fell silent. Nearly 8,000 soldiers laid down their arms, and empire released its grip from Brooklyn to Bennington, from Saratoga to Yorktown. Every sacrifice, every mile marched, every life given led to this moment. Freedom was never won in a single battle. It was earned. One courageous stand at a time.
Now, a lot of people do like watching fireworks, okay? And, like, I do have to say that. They do want to come out. I think it's more superficial now than it actually is anything else. Like, they don't really care about the country, it seems. There are people who do things that are patriotic, and they do think that way. Don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of them are just doing it because they're superficial. Like, on the 4th of July, you watch fireworks. You do a barbecue,
dogs.
you know, but a lot of them, they just don't.
Texas barbecue. I just saw a video earlier today.
You know,
the Texas ribs or whatever they have down there, they look so good.
and see,
Think of it. What is the traditional 4th of July dinner main meal?
hot dogs,
Sorry?
hot dogs.
And Texas barbecue.
Hot dogs. Okay.
Yeah, Texas toast. The big Texas bread.
Nobody has like
It's
actually used like an
Pull
actual.
up the bones, ribs.
Mhm. Like nobody's actually like Thanksgiving has turkey. You know what I mean? And Christmas has ham, or what, depending. But like nobody's actually said like this is 4th of July food. You know what I mean? Other than barbecue, and like there's some people that do freaking barbecue hot wings. There's some people who do they'll do freaking sausages and hamburgers.
Well, it makes sense. It's it's summer. Everybody wants to go
Yeah,
out
but
for
like
lunch.
New Year's.
Texas does chili. A lot of the Texans are big
yeah.
on they're big on their chili. So they'll have
Yeah.
like chili cook-offs, things of that nature.
I was surprised about that. Ireland.
Let me send you this video I watched earlier and tell me if you have had it before. It's on YouTube. I
But
think
also-
it's safe to. It's all about food. It's not politically motivated, so I think pretty safe for you to watch.
Now
Uh,
the
I'm
thing
not sure if it's safe to watch because of YouTube rules.
Mhm. now the thing
If it's under 2.5 minutes, then maybe.
the thing that with Texas though is like I'm gonna do another search here in a second, but I think that it actually I don't think it actually has anything to do with our freaking revolution. Like I don't think that they're even a part of the 4th of July, to be honest with you.
No.
They're I don't think that they were even around when the Revolutionary War started, were they?
Texas was not.
Yeah, like they don't even have a right to they just need to sit there and shut up, man. Let me see if I can find the screen share thing.
Texas doing something.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, I can probably pull that up real quick. Give me a second.
Today, I will try Texas barbecue for the first time as
Hold on a minute. Let me, I'm working it out in my head. I'm getting there. Be patient. There we go. Okay. You guys see that?
What?
No, I
Oh,
have
yeah. Actually, I was just looking at the. Yeah, it's.
Yeah,
Let me
I see it.
let me get into the settings too. I gotta make it to where it actually people can see my account, which is annoying because if I don't do that, then there we go. So
Trying to show on the stream.
yeah, I'm gonna do it. So let me go.
the German. This is a real American experience. You have the shatter glass, a bullet hole. Yeah. This is barbecue for the first time as a German. This is a real American experience. You have the shatter glass, a bullet hole, yeah. So the beans have meat in it too? Pork and beef? This is a kinky country, I like it. Okay, it's been 25 seconds. We already have like 25
kinky
calories on this
country.
place.
25 seconds and it's gonna take 2 years off.
Oh my god, look at this. I think this is the beverage that makes the frogs gay in America. Okay, holy shit. If I finish this, I'm gonna be a real American. This is a beef rib. What happened to the beef?
German.
First step,
I
you
think
dislocate your
he's
jaw like a snake.
American with faking
Yeah.
German accent.
Very salty. With the flavor? How is that possible? It's so juicy, it melts in my mouth. I joke a lot about American food. This is one of the best things I've ever had. Americans, why don't you start with that? That's the best thing America has to offer, I think. So this is the brisket. It's hard to grab because it's falling apart faster than democracy in America. It's a jokey joke, yeah. I love America, okay. As a German, the highest compliment I would say, not bad. Nicht schlecht, yeah? This is one of the sides, cream corn. It's more like corn cream because it actually has more cream than corn. Yo, that shit's good. It's very sweet. It tastes like a dessert mixed with like German horse semen. I love it. Now here we have this mac and cheese. Yo, the mac and cheese is just more powerful in this house. As a German, I'm a bit of a sausage expert, yeah. I've been to a lot of Wiener circles in my life, yeah. Not the restaurant. You know what I mean? I hate to say it, but this is some of the best sausage I've had. This one is so smoky. This is cornbread. Americans find a way to put corn in everything. They put corn in the cream, they put corn in bread, and in the vaccines also. Corn's everywhere. It balances out the smokiness because it's a little bit sweet. Why has nobody told me about this? Nobody talks about Texas barbecue. Germans don't know about this. We think about American food, we think about burgers and pizza and Mexican food. This is real American food, man. America should be proud of this. Not bad.
It's a good video to play to honor America on Independence Day.
I think somebody needs to teach him good etiquette.
No, he's German. He's German.
He is so that you know that pissed Mark off, dude. Like the one thing you don't do is say nice things about American food. Like that's
No, it wasn't the subject of the American food. There was just these table manners.
He's German. That's their manner, I think.
Well, I mean.
Did you notice how amazing he seems to like the food, and yet he said it's okay?
I just laughed at these sausage comments. Yeah.
Or semen. What about that?
Well, I mean, when it comes to Mark, though, you always got to take it back to the basics. Okay, Mark is always against American food. That's just point blank. Anybody who says good stuff about American food is the enemy.
That makes this thing good American food.
And I will stand by what I said too. Like Texas food does not count.
Okay, good US food.
You mean like they're out of the ordinary American?
No, like for like the 4th of July, like they have nothing to do with the 4th of July. So like when it comes to Texas food, that doesn't apply. Now if you go and you look at stuff that you should eat for the 4th of July, it should be something.
It should be if that's how foreigners.
Well, what do people eat in Massachusetts? What do people eat in freaking Georgia? What do people eat in freaking North Carolina? You know what I'm saying? South Carolina.
No, it's just not world famous. I mean, the Texas.
Oh, South Carolina, dude. Hold on now.
Oh yes, you're right. Yes, I'm good.
There's regional differences. Yeah.
You know, even Florida, like you can't be talking Florida food on the 4th of July. That Florida wasn't.
What's Florida got? Nothing.
Right. Like Florida wasn't even a state until like the 1900s, dude.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Everybody's like, whatever, dude. And I'm like, whatever. You know, respect the freaking dates. It's like, now, if you ask me what I think would be the perfect thing when it comes to
Independence Day food, yeah. What is it?
Independence Day, it would be freaking cow.
Steak, you mean?
Just cow.
Right.
What do you mean? You eat a cow?
Yeah.
Just a cow.
Just a cow, dude.
Live walking cow.
Eat a cow.
Independence Day, I could eat a cow.
No, the best one to get is the one that was here when we first came here. They came back from extinction.
Corn.
Buffalo.
Corn.
Green corn?
Corn would be a good one. Fish, because people
eat so ordinary. I could eat corn here.
Well, corn in America is very important because, like, when the colonials landed, okay, their first winter here was very harsh and cold, so they had to freaking learn how to grow crops properly here in the United States. And that's when the Indians taught them how to freaking grow corn. They told them to take a fish and put it down in the ground and let it freaking decompose with the seed so that it could nourish it and make it grow good. So that was kind of like a one of the first beginning stories that came out of all that. So I would say corn and maybe some fish.
Wait, Texas was a state, was part of the original Confederacy. Okay, so
Well, that's the Civil War. We're talking about the Revolutionary War. We actually got them after they declared their independence from
Mexico.
Mexico. They actually they would have been it would have been smart for them to just stay as a country on their own, but they decided to join the United States. And that's kind of what I was telling Naroki when it comes to Ottawa and British Columbia. Like they're all talking about splitting up from Canada.
Alberta.
You know, and I'm like, dude, hold up. You know, they keep talking about being the 51st state. I'm like, don't do that. Become your own country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Just like Quebec.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah, but it's like right after the during the independence and all that, didn't they have after the thing of all? Oh well, I forgot the two different things. The thing about where they set it up to where states can't, we call it, leave the U.S.
Succeed, yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about this last night. You brought it up last night.
And it was after the war they set it up about that. I forget what part. Well, yeah, it wasn't from here, but well, with all that going on, where citizens were being shanghaied onto ships and all that, and they passed that law there in the U.S. about that because they were having problems with other ships firing on to the U.S. ships and all that, and they passed that. What Roger said, I forget what he calls it, but they had to make up laws about that, about for all the other countries not to able to raid other ships of the U.S. or
Wait, hold up.
kidnap people.
You're talking about well, the thing about seceding from the Union. That's the Emancipation Declaration.
Yeah, I forgot. Two different things.
Yeah, actually, we were talking about this on Thursday, and we were getting into the subject at the time was all about technology and so-called artificial intelligence, and they made a link between that and what's that computer game I mentioned, Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, the other one that you were talking about, that one, what was it that you were talking about?
Shanghai people.
Oh, it was there was a battle that had taken place. And see what happened, what led up to the War of 1812 was actually the fact that even though we had won the Revolutionary War, England didn't want to recognize that a lot of the people that were in the Navy were American citizens because they were conscripted into the English Navy. So what they would do is they would freaking board American ships and then freaking pull the sailors off of the American ships and put them in English prisons.
Technically, were they American citizens? Technically, weren't they still British citizens at the time?
Well, see, this is where a lot of people disagree with me on this, but this goes back to the whole purpose for the Bill of Rights. Okay, there is a difference between the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and a lot of these people disagree with where I come from on this. But like, whenever the Constitution was put together, it was done by the Constitutional Convention in secrecy. Okay, and there was a group that was called the Anti-Federalists who didn't agree with the Constitution the way it was written. They said that they wanted a Bill of Rights in order for them to sign that Constitution, and a lot of them walked out. Now, George Mason stayed within the Constitutional Convention, but he refused to sign. And the reason for that was because they did not want to give the rights to citizens that protects them from like the First Amendment, what we were just talking about. They also didn't agree with the Bill of Rights, you know what I'm saying? Like protecting people's property from being raided by and taken over by the government, private property.
Okay, there's a big argument there, isn't there, in relation to if the US Bill of Rights was actually based upon the English Bill of Rights of 1860.
That's the federal. That was the Federalists. That was their argument. They said that they didn't want to have any Bill of Rights because they didn't want people to think that that was the only rights they had, because that's what England's Bill of Rights was all about. Like, you guys don't have like with us we have our rights are we have the rights of a person who's completely free according to our consciousness is what the term is, okay? And that means that as long as I know what I'm doing is right and I'm not breaking the law, I'm not doing anything wrong, then I'm a free man. Nobody has the right to tell me anything that I need to do, okay? And that's according to my constitutional rights. All right.
Again, when you look at it from the perspective of that time, we're talking about free men. We're talking about landowners.
Right.
We aren't talking about any. US
But see,
citizen.
this is just talking about what their rights were. Okay, that's what the Federalists believe. They believe that freaking that's what your rights were, and that if you wrote a Bill of Rights, then that would give people the false impression that those were the only rights you had. Like all of these amendments. If you listen to people talk today, they think that if it's not an amendment or if it's not in the Constitution, then you don't have those rights, and that's not what the United States Constitution says.
Actually, I think it was something like, could have been Jacobs recently. But with somebody talking about that there is an advantage in how Britain has set up its constitution compared to the US.
That's popping.
We are much more flexible.
That you know what that means?
If something happens, we can easily.
Not you, your country can do it. Okay, that means that your government or your state, however you like to say, that means they can do it, and they don't need your permission.
But it still has to go through the sort of entire legislative process.
They can change your constitution at a whim, dude.
Yeah, but it still has to go through a legislative process.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of process?
The standard House of Westminster, Palace of Westminster, House of Commons, House of Lords. And then
if you want a real constitution that works, it needs to be codified. Okay, it needs to be codified in law. And with our constitution,
the argument was made at it when I was watching this video was that the codification makes this less flexible. The constitution less flexible. Therefore, if something does happen, in which the constitution has to change, there's many more barriers.
Well, see, barriers are good, though. You got to understand that barriers are good, because the thing of it is,
they can also be bad. They can depend on the circumstance. They can always situation can also be bad.
We have what you call an Article 5 convention, okay, which if we wanted to change something, we can automatically do, or we can try to do an Article 5 convention. So we can make changes, but the thing of it is there's a process that goes with that, and the Constitution is codified so that freaking people don't get to freaking come in today and say we want this, and then 15, 20 years from now come in and say, well, we don't like that, we're going to take that out and change it. So you do that, then you have countries like France, who's had well over 15 constitutions since their revolution. You know what I mean? I can understand 2, maybe 3 of them taking place because of the bad things that's happened between then and now. But 15, come on, dude. I mean, that's just way too much.
Yeah, but if you look at the Constitution, in what way, I wonder about it myself, about the Constitution, because in such a way you can phrase things like they go through, Congress do, they pick certain words for what as they say, and when they put it down on paper, to where the word, the meaning of the word, and the way they want that document to work for them, and how it's supposed to work. And that's the problem that they need to be watching out when it comes to that situation, because they're going by the meaning of the word.
No, they're changing the meanings of the words. Like language jargon, political jargon is way different than regular English. What we talk about right now, okay? Like you go in and you listen, or you just go and you read like anything that is supposed to be like an amendment, or over in England, what do they call that, or reform. Go read a reform document, okay? And I guarantee you'll find out very quickly that the language is completely different. It's like when I said the word consent, okay? Or my conscience. Your conscience is completely different than what you think it is, okay? And consent, okay? People don't understand what consent laws are. You know?
Also, there's the point, as we've seen with fairly recent legislation, both in the US and Britain and further afield. These laws are pieces of legislation are written in such a way that the wording should be considered as being fairly vague.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to, and it's the same thing, because like with other things, if people don't watch out, because to me, I noticed when they pop up with these documents for the way things are, and they point blank say that before it goes in, that they have to make sure that the wording's right, the language and all that is perfectly the way they do before it gets sent in to Congress or wherever it has to be. But then by them doing that, people need to stop and think that, okay, we need to make sure that it's not a double-edged sword there, you know, that whatever they put down on paper, it doesn't come back and to bite everyone later on. It affects them in a certain way. It's like 3 days before independence started, Roger, I forget his name, but Roger told me about his name in England. He went and was going to go to England to set up a thing of be part of, what you call that? One of the UK, like what Canada is. I forget what you call it, Roger. That guy from the U.S. went to Canada to the UN to be part of their where there's the U.S. is still U.S. but they're part of their I forget what they call it.
You're talking about the what was that called again? It was the freaking Versailles. Whenever they were wanting to come up, it was before the UN.
League of Nations.
The League of Nations. What's his face? Oh God, I forgot his name. He Cleveland maybe? No. He was the president of the United States, and he was trying to push the United States into wanting to join the League of Nations. Well, he overstepped his power. He promised Europe that the United States was going to join, and he did that publicly. And then by the time he got to the United States, he quickly found out that that was overstepping his powers because Congress had to okay that. And what happened was he ended up traveling around the country trying to push for people to join the League of Nations, and nobody wanted to do it after he had done that. So
Wasn't there
now hold on. Now, Thomas Paine, you were talking about him. Now, Thomas Paine, he actually faced several legal troubles in both Great Britain and France during his life. Okay, he was the author of the book Common Sense. And
A pamphlet. Yeah.
he went from being a celebrated revolutionary hero to a hunted outlaw in Britain and a death row prisoner in Paris. Britain declares him an outlaw in 1792, as a matter of fact. Now, after the American Revolution, Paine returned to Europe and published Rights of Man in 1799, a fierce defense of the French Revolution that openly advocated for overthrowing monarchies. Now, the British government, terrified that his radical ideas would spark a revolution in England, charged him with sedition, libel, and treason. Now, before authorities could arrest him, a tip-off allowed Paine to flee across to the English Channel to France. In his absence, a British court found him guilty, banned his books, and officially declared him an outlaw. When Paine arrived in Paris, he was treated as a hero and even given honorary citizenship at a seat in the new French revolutionary government. However, the revolution quickly grew incredibly bloody and radical under Jacobins. Now, Paine was deeply opposed to the death penalty when the radicals voted to send King Louis VI to the guillotine. Paine openly voted against the execution, arguing that the king should be exiled to America instead. The humanitarian stance painted a target on his back. In December of 1793, the radical leader Maximilian Robespierre ordered Paine arrested for treason. He was thrown into the notorious Luxembourg prison in Paris for nearly a year. Paine came within hours of losing his head to the guillotine. Prisoner guards used to walk through the corridors at night, marking a chalk cross on the doors of the prisoners scheduled for execution the next morning. When they came to Paine's cell, his door happened to be wide open because he was receiving medical visitors. The guard hastily chalked the cross on the inside of the open door. Later that night, when the door was closed, the executioner walked past his cell because the chalk mark was hidden on the inside. Days later, Robespierre fell from power. The reign of terror ended, and Paine's life was spared. So there you go.
Yeah, I was wondering, was this before or after what I'm about to ask? Is that they were people that was asking, wasn't it President Lincoln about him? Why don't he be as king? And he said no. He wanted to keep it to where people can vote for
No,
every.
that was George Washington. They wanted,
Yeah.
and that's, I'm kind of suspicious about that too, because they did the same thing with Cromwell. I'm thinking.
Yeah. I was just thinking that it is a bit. I question that because this story is so similar to Cornwall.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I've heard that too, but I mean, you just have to use your common sense to that. Like all of us, that's that whole patriotic thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
that's why I was asking.
like the cherry tree. You know that George Washington was so honest, dude, that he cut down his mother's cherry tree, and then later on went to his mother and said, "Mother, I am sorry. I chopped down your cherry tree." And his mother forgave him because of his honesty. He was that honest. That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Well, it sounds a lot like propaganda, doesn't it? But yeah.
What do you think, Tan? Do you think that's true or not?
I kind of tuned out after a while.
Too much.
I did. I knew that I wanted to check out Paine though, because the thing of it is that it's very interesting. Like Paine is related to the freaking Liberty Tree. Is that what you said?
Yeah. I didn't clock Pain and the French Revolution until after you mentioned that. And I should have thought about that beforehand.
Well, who was the one that at one time was talking about being part, like a few days before it started, the War of Independence? Someone was saying that.
Oh, that was me. No, that was John Jay. No, I have no respect for John Jay. He's the one who founded the Department of Justice.
Oh, okay.
He was he's one of the freaking elitists that people usually refer to when it comes to the founding fathers and the landowners, like Mark's talking about. Like this guy was just 100 complete involved in just what the rich landowners were going to benefit from everything. Okay. Now, I always tell people all the time, if you think Washington is where the power is, then you need to think again, because the real power is actually in New York City. Okay, New York, period. That's always been where it was, and John Jay is a good example of that. Now, I mentioned it to you earlier where he was actually he was writing documentation up and doing negotiations to where he could actually settle a lot of the issues that the colonials had when it came to England within a matter of days. But the revolution had started like just before it happened, so he ended up backing away from that. But he actually wanted to resolve it without a war. And he wanted the United States to stay as a colony. But whenever the revolution broke out, he finally fell in line and decided that he was going to join with the revolutionaries and do the right thing. Until, of course, he decided to create the Department of Justice, which we can talk about at another time because we're supposed to be celebrating the United States. But yeah, I have a really harsh opinion of John Jay. It's very, very so he's one of those people that that really shouldn't have had power, because we had vultures. Don't you know what I mean? We had people in the beginning that were like Hamilton. He was one of them. So was freaking John Jay. John Jay and Hamilton. They wanted to do things that the rest of the country didn't want. Like freaking they didn't want a freaking Bank of America, and that's what Hamilton wanted. You know, and the Department of Justice was set up to where it separated the federal government from the freaking state government, and the individual's rights became more distant from Washington or from the federal government. You know what I mean?
When did someone was saying too? When did was this the when you vote? I forget what the way they do today. When did that? What century was that they started doing that electoral votes?
Say that again.
Electoral votes. I was wondering when was it that they started to put that into government, you know.
The electoral.
Well, we should go back to something like I don't know, Greece, ancient Greece.
The electorate is what he's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something that I've never really pulled up that would probably have been like during the time of the Great or the New Deal. I can probably check it out for you.
Okay, yeah.
Find out.
So they were talking about that, and for as long as, and I'm like, okay. They don't really give a specific time. They didn't. I just knew it was a long period of when they started doing it. And if so, and that thing of because how did it change politics more or less? Went from before and after, you know. Because you always heard that there's only one vote, and that, as far as I knew, is that it didn't start until recently, the electoral votes.
Okay, so the actual term is the electoral college, and believe it or not, it was actually all the way back in 1788. The United States started using the electoral voting system in 1788 during the first presidential election, which concluded in 1789. The framework for the Electoral College was officially established when the U.S. Constitution was signed on September 17, 1787, and it went into effect for the election that chose George Washington as the first president. And the very first election was 1788 to 1789. Electors were chosen by the state in late 1788, and they cast their official ballots on February the 4th, 1789. Now, I'm not sure if they're really saying that right. Like election, maybe, but that's the Electoral College. Yeah, that's what they're saying. It's really weird.
Came up with that.
Let me see. I thought it said the Electoral College. Okay, the United States began using the electoral college system during the nation's inaugural presidency election between 1788 and 1789. So I guess, yeah, that would be from the time in the beginning they started using the electoral college. That's pretty bad. I thought there would be a little hope left for the United States if it was actually implemented afterwards. But I mean, if it was that way from the beginning, that's pretty crappy. Because that's pretty. From what I've learned about it, it's a pretty crappy setup. It's like a popularity contest.
Yeah. Well, arguably, your entire political system is a popularity contest.
Look who's talking. Look who's talking. Look who's talking.
I've made this argument about, well, you could say democracy. I've made this argument about voting for a politician rather than a party.
Well, that when you vote for a party, you're actually that's actually is a popularity contest. I mean, like at least an individual is an individual.
Okay.
So if you're a part of a clique, start clicking is what that's all about.
Okay. To use my original argument, it's more of a cult of celebrity contest. Cult of the US system is
cult of there's actually a more what is it, cult of personality is what they refer to it as.
Celebrity personality, whatever. There's some differences.
Well, I mean, it's a really good term, and that really does fit even more when you say it like a cult of personality. It really fits the definition. So.
What happened during the time in New York?
You're muted, Robert.
We can actually hear him pretty well actually because of distance between you two.
Well, it was 1775 in New York. I was wondering what was that like during that time? What was that about?
Well, I mean, that time has passed, Robert.
Okay.
Hold up. We've already put like 2 hours into this thing, man. We need to close it up. This is what happens when you don't do the topics like you wanted to do. So I'm ready to go to sleep. Like I made like entire short stories for you.
Well, all that you stuff. Can still say that.
No, I mean, it's over, dude. you it's like I'm not doing that stuff. I'll make a blog for you. And then
make a blog for him.
And I've already got. I already set up a spoken word thing where it sounds all patriotic and everything. In a voice where it says the story. I did 4 of them for you, so I can have that posted up for you too. So you'll have that.
I was wondering, when did they have taps? When was it that taps? You know, when someone would pass away during the 1800s. Like they were
during the funerals or something.
Yeah,
that's what they did with the military people back then. They still do it now too.
Yeah, I was wondering when was it that
I'm gonna have to ask you to just kind of end this, dude. I'm done. Yeah, I'm really ready to just.
Tired.
I'm tired, man. Like we've gone like 2 hours, dude.
Yeah. You.
Hey, this is Robert's show.
That's what
He
I'm
wants to
saying.
go
It's
on,
like
let him go on.
I'm just gonna back out, man, because
We're still early.
It's like two, dude.
It's not midnight our time yet.
I know. It's 1:45 a.m.
He's trying to kick a dead horse, is what it is. He spent 2 hours like talking about all this stuff. We've already covered tons of stuff, and now it's like he was wanting to start talking about more stuff. And it's like, I'm done. I'm finished.
According to the clock here, it's almost coming up to 3 hours.
Besides that, like the fireworks are supposed to start here before long too.
Yeah.
Go enjoy your fireworks.
I usually just sit out back and listen to them. Hopefully they're not ruined because of the rain. 90 degrees outside, mind you, when it started. Like, when does it ever rain at 90 degrees in the day? That's like 30.
I don't know. Just before he started, me and Albert was talking about the weather. He said that there was some rain there or something.
Oh yeah, because I was saying because before it was real loud. You can hear it coming down real hard.
Mm-hmm.
And
this was 90 degrees, mind you, too, and that would be like 30 something degrees.
Yeah, about 30. Yes, 32, 33.
I was thinking like maybe about 33 degrees. You're because Dan, you don't have Fahrenheit either, do you? You guys,
Celsius.
You guys do Celsius.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just insane. It's like any other day you'd be burning you'd be burning up from the heat, and then all of a sudden on 4th of July, with it even hot, it's going to rain just to ruin the fireworks. That's 4th of July for you, just so you know. That's what 4th of July is now. And then I've heard people say, well, we're going to do it another day. Like, are you serious? Like, that's what I was saying. It's more trendy than it is anything else. It's not even about patriotism. They just like, we'll do it another day. Kind of like trick or treat, but on a different day.
well,
Isn't that missing the point? It's like saying, we'll celebrate Christmas Day on August the 5th.
Yeah. Oh, they're getting to that point now too. They're like, Christmas is every day.
Yeah, both.
Now, me personally, if I freaking found a person who thought that way, that said Christmas is every day, okay, and they celebrated Christmas every day, I would have issues with that. I would think that they might have like mental illnesses or something.
I'm just thinking poor Santa.
Yeah. Well, I mean, can you imagine somebody who has a Christmas tree up all year long? And they've got
I can, yes, I can.
Yeah, I can.
Christmas lights everywhere, and like every day they come in with a new present. You know what I mean? Like literally.
Well, it's like a Santa Claus. I forget where it's at, but they actually got a place where it's Christmas all year until
up
Christmas
here.
time.
Up there's a little bit north up here. There's a Santa's village.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's called the North Pole. Don't try to hide it. I'm like, shit, you ain't fooling me, dude. I know Santa's up there. That's freaking the North Pole. Don't be kidding me. Santa's hideout.
I
Santa's
ain't
village.
saying nothing more. I just tell you there's a Santa village up here.
Yeah, it's called the North Pole, buddy.
well, that and then the post office up there too. actually got people that sent mail up there because of the area code, and they send it there, and they send it back because it's the kids.
Mm-hmm.
They take it out and show the kids that.
Yeah, the postal code HOHOHO is a Canadian postal code.
Yeah.
Ho ho ho.
Yeah.
So I'm done, Robert. You wanna end the show?
Yep. And well, for every outlet, everyone that's on this show, tell them how you can contact them. Okay. And Edward, and we'll start with Roger Hanson, and then Lord Edworthy,
And then Tan Hunter.
and as well.
Okay, so you want me to go first?
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Okay, so if you guys want to find me, you can find me at Roger_Hanson on minds.com. You can also find me on X, Roger Hanson at ROGLOL1973. I am also on Elements Matrix at Roger's Hangout. You can find me on there. And I'm streaming all over the place, so you can find me as well on the YouTube, the Rumble, Kick, all the normal places. So that's all I got.
Okay, for me. Yeah, just really on minds.com and the username Midworthy.
And from me is Roger and Mark. You can find me on minds.com also with T2Tran at minds.com. But also I've started setting up a new home on primo.net. You can find me on primo.net. It's basically a Nostr client.
Okay.
All right.
You done, Robert? You need
Well, for everyone that likes and wants to ask questions, to respond, and whoever comes up with, the best, whatever comes up, let them ask them and they respond to you. Best way I could say. But you have everyone. This is Robert. 4th of July, 2026. U.S. 4th of July Independence birthday. Thank you.
Happy Independence Day.